Nobody wants to hear this, but you're doing too much is the real reason you're not good at options trading. Most traders don't fail from the lack of opportunity. They fail because they lack focus. Today, we're going to be breaking down why choosing one trading focus for 90 days is the fastest way to build confidence, discipline, and consistency. My name is Chrissy,
And I'm George.
and welcome to Married to the Market. So, like I said, we're going to talk about the one thing you guys need to focus on. I think doing too much is the reason why so many people are failing right now. And the fact that if we could just focus on one little thing, one clarity, one discipline, I think they'll make it.
So let's call out the overwhelming things that people normally do.
Well, a lot of people are watching so many different YouTube channels, taking so many different strategy from different people. I just feel like because you're over here in this group, you're over here in that group, you're not really tying it in and focusing on one thing.
Yeah, switching from different markets all the time
Yep.
and time frame. A lot of times people want to jump from
Hmm.
different time frames. So, let me go from the daily to a 1 minute, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. And not only that, but it feels like you almost got it right. No, you
Yeah.
don't have it because we're doing too much.
Make sure that you're focusing on one thing at a time and just let the results show for themselves.
Because if you don't, guys, you got to think about it. We're going to keep in the repeated cycle. Like this is 2026, right? The whole habits from 2025, 2024, we're not bringing that in. It's the year to be profitable. That's why you guys are watching this series. And if you haven't watched the series, make sure you guys go back into this playlist and watch the full series so you can get caught up on what we're talking about. But this is about pattern recognition, right? When you're able to actually recognize what's going on, we got to stop not being focused.
Okay, so let's talk about why the lack of focus is gonna make people be inconsistent because that's something that we need to talk about. When they're not focusing, the consistency is not gonna come in. Once they start focusing on one thing, doing one strategy, one pattern, then people normally see results right after.
You're not trusting your execution, right? Because if you're not being consistent, you're not being disciplined, you're not sticking to one strategy, you're going to be afraid to pull the trigger when you actually see your setup. You're going to be afraid to get into the trade because you're not really understanding. You're being a jack of all trades, right? You're not mastering none. So, and that's really what I would personally say.
It's the confidence part though. You
Yeah.
get me? When you're always switching from time frame to a different time frame, when you're always switching from a strategy to another strategy, the confidence is not going to be there because now you're always going to second guess yourself. So I feel like when you're focused on one thing, it gives you the ability to master something versus you switching from different time frames, you switching from different strategies, you watching everybody and anybody just because they post something, it doesn't mean that they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, and I think you're just becoming more emotional at that point, right? Because you said you're watching everybody and you're not really focusing down on it.
Yeah. So what one focus actually means.
One focus to me means that you're honing in on one thing. So it's either that you're going to say, you know what, let me focus on being a day trader, let me focus on being a swing trader, let me focus on this particular strategy, things of that nature. We're sticking to one thing. It's
Mhm.
not saying that later on you can't implement those things. It's just the fact that we're now trying to figure out, okay, where are you needing help in, right? In that area and maybe focus on that front.
For me, it's one market, one setup, one time frame. You could look at different time frames to enter the trade, but you're mainly trading off of a time frame. For me, I'm always trading off of a daily time frame
Mhm.
most of the time. For swing trades, I'm looking at weekly. My stop loss is based off of a certain thing, not going back down to a different time frame. Focusing on the risk model that you take and not being emotional. But when you get in that trade, you already know the risk level that you're getting into. If you focus on those, I feel like you can definitely see results versus being all over the place.
So basically, when you master this, you're going to be able to understand price better, right? The price behavior. You're going to have confidence because you have better repetitions. You put the skin in the game and you know, like, what not to trade, what to trade. I think it's all about building that muscle, just like in the gym, right? In the beginning, you're going to be sore. You're going to be like, man, it's not working. I think
Mhm.
if you consistently put in the work and you surround yourself with the right people and you have the right strategy, you're watching this video for a reason because something is not clicking at this point. You're like, man, it's got to be that one thing I'm doing wrong. Yeah, it is that one thing. And I think if we just sit down and figure that out, you'll be a lot better. That's something for me as well. I had to figure out for myself, am I a day trader or am I a swing trader? I think going from the different time frames was messing me up in the beginning. And so I
Mhm.
had to realize he's a day trader. He likes that in and out, in and out. I don't. I'm a swing trader. I want to see that full move. So I'm okay buying time on my contracts and sitting in it and knowing, okay, this is, and I do better
Mhm.
because now I know the one thing, right? The strategy that we use and we teach to our mentees. We wanted to take a quick break and say thank you guys so much for watching this video. Did you know that 80% of the people that are watching this video are not subscribed? And you might be one of those people just as well. And if you are, do us a favor and click that subscribe button and join us on this journey. Watching this video, that means you might be interested in options trading. I'm not sure if this is for you, but I wanted to let you know that George and I have a 6-week mentorship called Married to the Markets. We'll be teaching you everything about options trading and holding your hand throughout this process. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, make sure you pause this video and check the description because we're going to be putting all the information that you need and to see if you're qualified for this. So if this is something that you want, we would love to have you guys in the Married to the Market family. So guys, let's go ahead and jump back into the video. It can be used at any time.
You could use it
So
on
you
any
kind of
time frame.
figure out what your one thing is.
For me, the crazy thing is you mentioned repetition, right? You mentioned the gym. For you to see the results in the gym, it takes repetition. It takes you actually going and keep on doing the thing and getting familiar. That behavior of being in the gym works because now your mental is good when you
Yeah.
go to the gym. When you see yourself and you see the changes happening, it's the same thing when it comes to trading. Repetition makes you more comfortable. Repetition makes you more skilled. Repetition builds on your confidence. So now when you're taking those trades from me, I know that when I get in a trade, if I'm getting on a trade on a daily time frame, my stop loss is gonna base on a daily time frame.
Mm.
If I'm taking a trade on a 15-minute, I can't put my stop loss on a daily time frame.
Yeah.
It does not make any sense. If I'm in a swing trade, I can't get out of the swing trade because it break the 15-minute time frame. I'm in a swing trade and I took that on a weekly time frame. So my stop loss have to be based off of a weekly time frame. The thing that people get messed up with is they get in a trade, they're using a smaller time frame for their stop loss, not giving themselves room, and then they end up losing most of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas if they give themselves that room, learn the strategy, learn to build that confidence muscle, then they'll see more profits.
And this is tying back to what we talked about in the first video, right? Where we talked about your identity, identifying what type of trader you are,
Mhm.
who you are, and just kind of figuring out, okay, am I a day trader? Am I a swing trader? Who am I as a trader? Once you get that down, and then you go on to your environment. Did you clean up your watch list? Do you have your environment clean? And
Yeah.
like just tying everything as one because we're in building phases and you have to build upon each other to grow. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to start here. No, you got to start from the basics. Even though you might know how to trade, start over,
Mhm.
start from the basics. Identify, write down, okay, who am I? What am I going to be doing? How do I want my environment to feel? Because when you feel a certain type of way, you trade that way just as well. Your environment dictates how you trade. When you got chaos in your life, you're going to bring chaos into trading. And that's not what we want. We want to build upon this. This is why this series was so important to George and I. We all need a reset. I don't care how good you are. Even I sometimes need a reset. And for 2026, I said, okay, simplify things. You're doing too much. When you do too much, it causes mistakes. It causes, and I'm being
Yeah,
honest,
yeah.
just being real.
So the common fear, right, around just trading in general are narrowing down focus,
Mhm.
right? What are some of those? I feel like, people are afraid of missing out on opportunities, but like I always say, there's always an opportunity in the market, right? Then you have the fear of being wrong. No matter what, you're gonna be wrong at some point. There's no way that every trade is gonna go exactly your way. Now, you have a good winning ratio. Last month, we had a 90% winning ratio, right? I mean, got 45 out of 50 trades.
Yep.
I still feel good about that, right? It's all about discipline, knowing that you're not going to win everything. But at the end of the day, you're disciplined enough to focus on that one strategy. And based on that one strategy, you master it enough. At the end of the month, you end up profitable,
And that's what it's
right?
about.
And that's what it's all about.
When you focus, it's not limiting you guys, right? You're focusing, you're like, okay, I'm ready to take this to the next level. You're actually accelerating your growth when you focus. You're now realizing what the problem really is and you're narrowing down on that.
You have to make sure that when you're doing it, it's like, what is the goal in mind? A lot
That's
of people
it.
want to see that same goal that somebody has that's been in the game for years, right? When it could just be small steps that get you to where you need to get to. You have to make sure that you're focusing on the right things. We always talk about creating good habits. We always talking about clean environment. We're always talking about identifying who you are. And that all have to tie into what you're truly focusing on. And if you have a goal in mind, know that if something doesn't pertain to your
Mhm.
goal, don't do it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Not missing any opportunities, guys. In this stage, in the beginning stage, in the reset, we're building, right? This is a building
Mhm.
one step on top of another. It really comes down to what do you want to focus on for the next 90 days. I have a couple of things. I want you to get a pen and paper and figure out what you're going to focus on. This is the only way
Yeah.
for you to implement this as you watch. I want you to figure out what market you're going to be in. What market are you going to try to learn and understand, right? What setup are you gonna do? People who trade with us know what our setup is. We're only trading that setup and that's it. We're not going outside of that. But I want you to know what market, what setup you're gonna do, and be able to identify that. And then, like you said, time frame.
Yeah.
What
Choose your time frame, the one that fits best for you. If you're a swing trader, then you know that you're going to be trading off of a higher time frame.
yeah,
If you're a day trader, then you know that you're intraday trading, you're on the lower time frames. If you're a scalper, that means you on them
low, low.
low. Right? Then you have to choose a set of rules that you could repeat on a daily basis. Because when you have your rules in place, if you see a setup but breaking a rule, that means you're not going to take the trade. So at that point, you're saving yourself from losing. You're saving yourself from now saying, okay, I take a loss, but I forced the trade because I didn't follow my rules.
The best executions are the ones that you can do consistently. And so the whole goal is I'm not even thinking about profits right now, guys. The whole goal for me, for you, it's about execution because the money will come. When you're executing properly, your money's going to flow in because you're doing it on the right time frame. You know where your take profit is, you know where your stop loss is, you know these things. So it's just a building step that we're working on currently right now.
Now, I
So
will say
what?
their strategy have to be good.
Oh, obviously the
Their
strategy has to work.
the strategy have to be
Oh,
proper,
the
right?
strategy, we got to know it works.
Because you could be executing a trade and think that you're doing, all right, I'm doing the execution part, so the profits will come. But if the strategy ain't
That's
right,
the
the
number one thing.
strategy
The strategy gotta work. And if you don't got a strategy, I highly suggest you join George and I and come on the mentorship and let us teach you so you can learn this strategy.
yeah,
Because I mean, 90% for the month, that is freaking strong, man.
that's strong.
It's strong.
And I'm not even gonna talk about the swing trade. I'm not even gonna
Hey,
talk about
see, when you
it.
focus on what you good at, the results come.
Yeah,
I swing trade, my swing trades, boop, out the park. 100 and something percent, 200%. Like we
yeah,
doing good around here. We can't
yeah,
complain.
yeah,
Can't
yeah.
complain on
So
those.
what happens when focus is clear?
When focus is clear, you're making better decisions. You're recognizing things quicker. For me personally, this is why I have to work because when I work out in the mornings before I trade, my mind is clear. I'm pumped. I'm
Yeah.
ready. It brings a sense of clarity like no other. And that's what I have to do to prepare myself for the market.
Yeah, you become less emotional because now you
You're
know what you're
looking
looking
for.
for, you know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
at that point, you're less emotional. If you in a trade, you're more calm about the trade.
Mhm.
If you're not calm about the trade, that means that you're either over leveraged
We always say that.
or you got in a trade that you're not supposed to be in.
Yeah. And then you get better at journaling. Journaling becomes better when you get better execution. So you're not always, man, I lost today. No, you start writing good stuff. Oh, my execution hit, my strategy. This is the strategy that I use, and this is the time for you get really excited about journaling because day after day, week after week, month after month, you're progressing. And so you start feeling that it starts oozing off on the papers and you don't want to stop journaling because
Yeah.
you're so happy. It brings such a sense of peace. I'm telling you guys, I was you at one point. You're no different than George and I.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, we all were there. If somebody tells you you don't gotta go through this, they're lying. We all paid our dues to the market.
You can skip a couple of steps by
You
having the
can.
right mentor. At some point, you're going to feel like you got the mentorship. You don't need this anymore. You learn what you need to learn. And you're still going to do something that say, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this. And then you're going to get humbled. It's not the end of the world. Just know that you need to get back in line, follow the strategy always, and if you always follow your strategy, you might lose here and there. But if you're patient enough, you follow your A1 setup, you're building that confidence, you're going to have those high win rate. And if you have the risk to reward or your risk is good, then you shouldn't have to worry about anything.
Yes. And so in the next episode, we're going to be talking about the story that you tell yourself, right? There's a voice in your head that constantly pops up, and you're not crazy, okay? But it constantly pops up and it shows up in every decision you make. I just want you to be aware of that. Make sure you set your notifications and come along on this 90-day journey with George and I. And I
Yeah.
want you guys to do me a favor. Comment one focus if you are going to be simplifying your trading. Remember, you're doing too much. That's why you keep feeling like you're falling backwards, right? But if you guys are looking for a group that you want to live trade with, we always welcome you into Married to the Markets. You
Yeah.
can come trade live only if you know how to trade. If you don't
Yeah.
know how to trade, book a call and do our mentorship. We have a 6 week, we have 6 month, we do 1 year. Just really depends on what your needs are, and we'll customize that for you. With that being said, guys, we'll see you on our next episode.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.